This is the TESS65. It's a 65% gasket-mounted keyboard kit by none other than Divinikey, a veteran vendor of the mechanical keyboarding hobby. It's a nice keyboard overall, but what makes this keyboard extra nice is that it starts at just $65. That's right. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Scott K. $65? You could even get a decent set of keycaps for that price just a few years ago. Wait, you probably still can, huh? So then, how is this nice looking, nicely featured 65% keyboard from a reputable vendor so cheap? That is the same question that I was asking too. Then I thought, if you can get a full pre-made like the Rainy 75 or the ND 75 for just around a little over $100, then a bare bones kit should be costing this much, right? But the difference here is, the TESS65 was actually designed to perform and sound at a notch higher than those guys. It's actually very similar in concept to something like the Lucky 65 or the Neo 65, but with screw and stabs versus the Lucky 65, right? Let's get started. So obviously the TESS65 is a 65% mechanical keyboard bare bones kit, which means it comes without keycaps, switches, or stabilizers. So speaking with Divinikey, they worked with a manufacturer called MotoKey to design a keyboard that was very affordable, yet it also delivered great acoustics and great typing feel. If that's the case, let's see what this is all about, shall we? Right off the bat, the case is a very sleek and minimal look without too much embellishments. Well, other than the small little badging in the upper right corner, which also could be had in different colors. You'll notice this throughout the keyboard, but the theme of the triangles is pretty evident with the TESS. I'm not sure if it was like named after NASA's satellite, but I don't know. I digress. The case design is like a split upper and lower case design, right? Below, the TESS also features a separate aluminum weight with a triangle theme also going through it. Triangles. One thing you probably noticed is that there are no screw holes down there. We'll get to that later. It also has a daughter board setup for that maximum flex allowance as well. Finish pretty good and overall, like especially for $65, it's impressive for an entry-level keyboard. Let's look at the components of this keyboard then, shall we? Let's start with the PCB. So the TESS has a few different options for PCBs, but the one I have here is a hot swap wire. There's also wireless, there's also solder. Very clean and white, 1.6mm, no flex cuts or RGB or anything like that. Very straightforward design. Below, as you would expect, you have a set of KO hot swap sockets for ease of swapping switches in and out. One thing to note is this. Yes, this keyboard can be top mounted, but it also could be PCB gasket mounted. It utilizes these tiny little silicone grommets and mounts to the PCB directly instead of the plate. Plateless anyone? Yes, please. Moving on to the plates. So I have three options here: the FR4, the polycarbonate, and the polypropylene. However, aluminum is also an option as well if you like that. Once again, everything about the TESS has been pretty straightforward. There's no flex cuts or fancy designs on this plate, just good old solid plate. Obviously, these little tabs are here for top mounting if that is your wish. Finally, as you'd expect from a keyboard of these days, you do have a foam set. The usual suspects, right? You have like the case foam, you also have the plate foam, and the P foam if you desire that. But I'll tell you that right now, the TESS doesn't need any of this at all. Okay, before we jump right into the build though, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor today, FishFish. So what the heck is FishFish? FishFish is actually Divinikey's homegrown accessories brand that emphasizes high quality products at an affordable price. Kind of like the TESS65, right? They actually offer a handful of nice products like this multi-purpose jar. It's made of glass and with wood top. It's a very versatile design for switches and everything else. We also have this magnetic switch opener right here for both the MX style as well as the KO style switches in a nice anodized finish. Next, my favorite, is this easel style keyboard holder. Made of quality wood but in a whimsical easel design. It's sturdy and fun. Finally, you can even grab this universal case that allows for safe carry of pretty much any keyboard from like a 60% all the way up to a TKL as well. We're excited to see a trusted vendor come out with some great accessories, so check out FishFish in the description below. Okay, so let's go about building out this TESS65, shall we? Divinikey promised great acoustics, so I'm not even gonna bother with any of the foam because it modifies it, right? How about we just go straight naked? So I decided not to put any foam into this, so the case was left bare open. And what about when it comes to the PCB? Yep, nothing here as well. I would just deal with the switches and soft plates and stuff like that, whatever. I did use a set of stabies for this build. For the plate, I decided to go with the latest craze, right? Polypropylene is like the thing, it seems like. It's somewhat similar to palm. It's a deeper sounding, very soft feeling plate that a lot of people actually have come to love. For switches, I decided to go with a set of Wuque WS Lite tactile switches. These are nice in that they have a very soft tactile bump. It doesn't really stress out your fingers too much, so if you like that, these are perfect for you. However, they're only about 50 grams bottom out, so keep that in mind for like your spacebar and mods and stuff like that. They were a bit light for the mods for my liking, so I ended up swapping out the mods with some black cherry pies. And of course, I decided to go with the PCB gasket mount to see if it's really a comfortable keyboard as Divinikey is claiming. So remember what I said about the TESS being like screwless from the outside? There's no screw holes on the bottom. Well, it's because the screws are located on the inner perimeter instead. Gives that nice clean look on the outside, right? Now, this is what it looks like when it's like fully assembled. For keycaps, I decided to go with a set of PBTFans Purpolch keycaps since I really do like how this entire setup looks like on a black keyboard overall. So, the first test. Divinikey promised a comfortable typing experience. Well, does it have it? It sure does. The TESS is actually a very soft feeling keyboard. Even without the flex cuts or anything like that, the silicone gasket grommets, they do a really good job of dampening and giving the keyboard a fairly bouncy feel. Okay, so then what about the next promise? Let's go to the sound test, shall we? Okay, so that was without any foams whatsoever. And for a $65 keyboard with no foam, that is actually pretty darn good. I would say that it's not a thick, heavy, thocky kind of sounding keyboard. Rather, it has a very clean, medium clad sound signature. What I actually enjoyed about the most was how crisp it sounded without like sounding muddy or like kind of, dirty. Overall, I think they did deliver on their promises right here. So, what is the TESS? In a sea of available keyboards and with like the likes of the Rainy 75, the ND 75s out there, is there a space for it? I believe so. I don't believe Divinikey wanted the TESS65 to compete against the likes of the Rainy, or any of the pre-builts rather. This is out there for the beginners that want to try a hand at pure customization, pick out their own plates, their own switches, their own stabs, and keycaps, and truly get into the mechanical keyboarding hobby. So in that sense, it actually competes more with the likes of like the Lucky 65 and the Neo 65 and so on. This is the keyboard that you start with before you even jump into like a Zoom 65 or the QK65. And for $65, you're getting so much more with the TESS65 at that price than anything else. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and I'll have more content for you in the future. Thanks.